I'm gonna tell you, man, like, don't spend too much time thinking about how you want to do that. Just figure out where you want to just try something. That's it. Like, once you're in there, just pay attention, be cool, do whatever you can to stay in that room, right? And like, learn as much as you can. And most people too, what if I'm doing something that could help you? Or what if you're doing something that we can connect on and start a business together? Or, you know what I mean? Like, I'm really just getting bigger on just community, like connect.
The biggest takeaway I'm taking from this is just getting those people that you're already close with, right? And actually doing something, because the power of the people is really what's gonna move things. What you been up to lately?
Yeah, it's cool, man. What have I been up to lately? It's wild that I'm sitting and pausing and thinking about it because it's just such a simple question, but it feels hella loaded right now because I've been just doing so much. Work has been great, still getting to work in the music industry, but it's been just the community work, I think, like for me more, that's been really wild and uncomfortable and doing different stuff, but just feeling the importance to be more involved in community. So like, that's really where a lot of my attention lately has been going, is to that. And the I Dream Society, we're going into like year 6, 7 now. So just like really dialing in certain curriculums like the podcast workshop. And we went to a couple middle schools this year for Black History Month, partnering with the Monrovia Duarte Black Alumni Association, like partnering and making things make sense. If it makes sense and everybody can win and kids can have a good time, and you know what I mean, or community wins, or that to me has been like really important. I'm like, I don't want to do anything without it having purpose.
Right. So let me really get into something I've been wanting to ask you for a long time. From the time that you started radio, that's where you really started, right? Like, how did you really start there?
So radio, college radio was first. Well, so I flunked out of Citrus Junior College, right? That was like grown up high school. There was a bunch of just friends and there was new girls there. And you know what I mean? So it was just like, all right, cool, whatever. I'll just keep going. Plus my parents are making me do something. Let me just go over here and do that. And business and finance, graphic design. I didn't know what I wanted to do, bro. Like, so flunked out. My big cousin introduces me to a telecommunications program at Pasadena City College. So I was like, oh. And at that time, it was 92.3 The Beat. So I'm listening to that station all the time, right? I'm hearing Theo, Julio, Jim, like, this is dope. Like, this is fire to me. I'm a pretty shy dude, so it was like, I don't know, but this is dope. I was like, well, let me try my hand at directing, like directing film. I'm like, I love music videos and I like being able to tell stories, so maybe this is it. And just took classes, and just my love for music kind of started pulling me into the radio side of it there at PCC. They have a KPCC, which is their NPR radio station on campus, but it was clear, man, I wasn't gonna fit in with that over there. And shout out to Doug Johnson, the professor at PCC, was like, well, look, we have this little one, it's the local stick, but if you want to help get it rolling, cool. And that was it, bro. Like, I did that, interned at Kiss FM. They actually offered me a position in production, but I wanted to try to get on the air at that time. So I passed. I was almost done at PCC too. So it felt like I was like, oh, I'm almost going to have my certificates. You know what I mean? Like, let me not do that. Finished it up. But while I was at PCC, I met Tawala Sharp. She was the one who was like, hey, man, I'm moving into a different spot at the Beat. You want to intern? It might lead to something. If Julio thinks you cool and it all works out, you know, you could have a gig. Cool. That's the station I wanted to be at anyway. So I was like, yeah. Answered phones for Kevin Nash was like my first intern thing. He ends up moving into his new spot. I sit in with Julio, and it was basically just like, if I could get, you know, do what I needed to do as his producer and he liked me, I'm in. So it was cool, man. Meeting him was like, that was like my big brother, like pretty quickly. Like, I was like, and been my mentor and just helped me. And that was the first gig, bro. From there, first full-time gig was Bakersfield, Slow Jam show, back to Hot 92.3. It was like the Slow Jams, did a weekend gig. Then it led to Wild. That's when, yeah, we connected out there. But that was the beginning.
And when you went through all that, was there any struggles that you were like facing that were like, oh, maybe this is not the right path for me?
Everything. I think everything was a struggle. Like, as I look back, I'm like, gotta feed yourself. So that's the struggle. The job is a part-time gig. but it's where I want to be. But this ain't no money. So being at my parents' crib, going to PCC, like waking up mad early for the internship, you know what I mean? Like it was all these things. I mean, now that I'm asked that, like I think everything, bro, was a struggle. But I'd already failed. I flunked out of Citrus College. Like I'm already like, so I can't lose
Yeah,
right now.
there's no
Like
turning back.
this has to work. So as hard as it was, whatever, I can't not do this.
Man, and that's something I've always kind of wanted to ask you, but I kind of hesitated to, just because I don't know, it was never the right time to do it.
Yeah, sure.
But now, like, if that never happened, there's no Chris Loos today at this point where you're at today, and all those experiences. So I'm grateful that that you went through that, so I can meet you, and now we're in this present moment.
Yeah.
And then just seeing you from afar with I Dream Society and all the philanthropy and community services that you're doing. I mean, amazing. Like it's something that I've kind of been reserved about and trying to get myself out there to really start doing it. And this is, like I said,
I'm gonna tell you, man, like, don't spend too much time thinking about how you want to do that. Just figure out where you want to just try something at. Like, it was a conversation that I got to sit in on with Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. He was doing like a book signing thing. So it was him, Common, and Angela Rye on the UCLA campus. And they were talking about like community activism. It was really around his book, you know what I mean? Kareem's book. But they had asked at one point, they were like, we're in a different day where it's like you're posting, hey, I'm out here, or hashtag this, or whatever it is. That's not activism. And that's where they simply said, they were like, well, in order to be a community activist, you got to be active in your community. What is that? What does that look like? I don't know. You only know when you start looking. And that's when I realized, I'm like, man, it's easy to be a social media activist. And not to say that that's like not good, because I think the more noise you can make, it can help a cause, right? It can move something. But I also am seeing too, like, not really. It just makes a louder social awareness. But how many hands and feet, like when you start looking at like your local level of stuff and see like, wow, wait a minute. So for the city that I'm in, there's like 36,000 people. I'm like, we have like 3,000, 5,000 voters turn out. That's it. There's 30-something thousand, 5,000. Like, I'm not great at math, but that doesn't seem really great to me. I'm like, wow, so stuff like that is interesting. And I think just find your way, man. Like whatever it is that you see in your neighborhood, like do something. It's also easy to do, like take your kid, man. Like, you know what I mean? Be like, all right, we're going to go see what this organization does at the park. Cool. See the work, maybe tap in with them, you know what I mean? And do something. But like, that's been way more important to me to see things get done at home. Cause I mean, can't no one person save the world, you know what I mean? But if you could start somewhere and maybe create something that can be duplicated, that would be fire.
And touching bases on that, how has that helped you overall? Like all the community outreach that you've done, how does it help you like in your own personal life?
It's humbled me like tremendously. Like I hate that my brain sometimes goes to these like social clips. All of a sudden you're like, yeah, somebody would always love to be where you are. Right. And it's like, yeah, somebody would always like to do like as many problems as I got, or I can't pay this bill, or the car broke down, or you know what I mean? It's always something. But then when you see somebody who really would love to be able to be struggling with just a car being broke down, or to have a broke down car, or to, you know what I mean? And so getting more involved with community has helped me see more of the community, which has made me realize how blessed I am and how fortunate I am to have everything that I have. And then to be able to connect with people and help people is like, I think everybody should do it, man. Like it's good for us as humans, like there's now everybody stays on their phone to get that boost of like, ooh, somebody liked my photo. Ooh, somebody left me a comment. Ooh, I got 10 more views on my thing, or you know what I mean? And it's like that, ooh, just kick all the time, and that's feeding you. But it's nothing like really being able to help somebody like for real in real life, where you're like, there's this fighting food waste group in town that's ran by this one woman who's just amazing, Jacqueline. Like, yo, like you're really helping people in our neighborhood not go hungry tonight. Like tonight, like for real, by posting like, hey, people just go on there, bro. Like I got an extra 10 piece from blah, 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 blah. If anyone could pick it up. And you know what I mean? It's like literally that real. And I'm like, there's so many real ways we could help people like in real life. But I think a lot of times too, are we doing it for that reason, or are we doing it so we could post about it?
Right.
I think if your intentions are right and you're just doing it, man, it's no feeling like that, man, to be able to help people. Because I know I want someone to help me out if I'm in a bad way like that.
Wow. I was too intrigued in this
Yeah.
conversation. And with your son, I mean, how old is he now?
He'll be, he'll be 13 this year, man. He's 12.
And you take him to all these, well, most of these events, right?
Oh, yeah, he's everywhere, and he got to see like for the I Dream Society, right? It was he got to see how we put it together. You know, like he knows Jay, he knows Monique, and it's like they've been instrumental. Like they've been, you know what I mean? Like the three of us just been figuring out how do we do this, how do we put it together, how do we make it a real org. But he's always been riding with me. Okay, go to the bank and set up the account, and go and get an official 501c3. What is that? Okay, that's so we can do business, and that's so we can do this work. And what is the work, and how do we create the website, and what is the mission? And I'm like, come on, man. Like, I want him to see it because our kids are going to be better than us.
100%.
So if they could just see things move in real life through us, I love having him around. He's getting too cool now, bro. He's starting to hit that like. So I'm glad I got all this time with him before. I'm like, oh, Dad. All right.
Definitely. When was the point to where, or it came about to where, like, or the name that even just started I Dream Society? Where did that root from?
My Dream Society was like, I didn't have a traditional job, right? Radio, there's nothing like, here, go this. There's the radio school or broadcast or whatever. But like, and then you're in high school and you're trying to figure it out. And for me at that time with immigrant parents, they didn't know entertainment jobs or where do you go for any of it. So I was like, what if, there was this society of dreamers that was like a group that like did cool stuff to empower each other. That was it. And I got the domain with only thinking about that, which I kind of blew it because I didn't get I guess in the nonprofit world, you're supposed to get like the .org. I just got idreamsociety.com because it's a website. We'll use that.
Things that they never teach you.
Which is why I'm like, well, whatever. But to me, like, I'm such a not regular or with rules either. So you know what I'm saying? So it's like, well, that's because why? So it has to be a .org so other people know that it's an org. All right, cool, like whatever. It's you know what I mean.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was really that, and then it's kind of evolved into Jay, who does video production, Monique, who does music. You know what I mean, and photo, and a bunch of other. And it's like everyone who is on the leadership team for I Dream has a non-traditional job, right? That's something that we kind of thought of and wanted to do and did it, like whether it was music or production, partnered with a guy named Dylan Schmidt for our podcast workshop. He lives in the podcast world. So it's like, yeah, that's not a traditional job. Like, so partnering with him on that was just like this beautiful thing that made absolute sense of like, hey man, you want to do the podcast workshop with us? Like, yeah, bro. And his heart and passion for like helping young people is the same too. Cause if you've been in that creative space, you're trying to get any bit of advice or insight or whatever. Like, I remember you being around young dude like, yo, you're peeping. Cool. How's boom, 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 boom.
I was always looking through the window trying to see what was going on, just to try to get some juice and be like, all right, might come someday.
But that's it. That's it. Like once you're in there, just pay attention. Be cool. Do whatever you can to stay in that room, right? And like learn as much as you can. And most people too, when they see somebody working hard, like I shared everything with whoever all the time if they were really working. So yeah, man. I Dream was just about a community of dreamers, everybody helping each other to that next spot in that creative journey, whatever that is.
I think the biggest thing is, my takeaway is the impact that you've had on all the youth that has come and gone, and it's still going to keep coming. And I'm sure this is not a stop for you.
Man, thanks, man. I really appreciate that. Like that's the goal. Like and like we even talk like as like our little team talks before we go. It's like, hey man, if we could just flip one kid's head back with this information, you know what I mean? We go into everything with just one. If we could just reach one kid. Yeah, man, that's the goal. I think it should be as simple as that.
And what's next?
What's next for I Dream Society? For I Dream, I think now it's just like continuing to do what we do, grow it more. Really, the big picture, like the big vision of it is like an I Dream center where we can run our workshops, or we can also like work with other entities within the city. Like that's what hopefully in the next few years, we'll be able to build in the Monrovia Duarte community to where it's like, all right, cool. There's so many services that do, or so many groups that provide services for youth, but they don't have necessarily a place or a hub. And sometimes they don't really need it necessarily. But for example, I know that there's one, my friend Dominique, they do teeth cleaning for kids. So they'll pull up to schools and stuff like that. So I'd love for the center to like monthly have a teeth cleaning day for like kids where parents could just pull up, you know what I mean, bring the kids and get services like that done. So to have all of these services housed out of one spot where it can just really super serve just art and wellness. You know, I think health is another thing I'd love to see more emphasis on. Like, I'm over like kids getting thrown bags of chips and donuts at events, and it's like, come on, man. Like, we want them to be healthier, but they come to the event and they're getting cookies and donuts. Like,
Yeah, they're not even checking what they're actually giving them, right?
let's talk about that. Like, let's start talking about that. They're young. Like, I know their body could handle it because it can beat these crazy things we feed them off. But I think something like that would be beautiful. Seeing what the Youth Mentoring Action Network built out in not Claremont, Montclair, the Youth Power Hub, is phenomenal, Eder. Like, it's a space for just creativity and wellness. I mean, you're talking about, they got a treehouse out there. They're doing workshops. They've got a meditation room. They've got a music studio. It's just a safe space for kids to cook, right? Collaborate, create. And I'm like, that's what needs to be happening more. You know, we all siloed up on our devices, but to connect in real life and collaborate and see other creative people, that's inspiring. Whenever I'm around people like that, I'm like, I
Yeah, yeah.
usually leave there gassed out. Like, I'm like, oh, yo, I'm up.
Yeah, because you're just learning. Because I mean, what you don't know, others know, and you just got to take it in, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Everything you're doing is great. But we were also talking off camera, the stuff that you're doing actually within the community that's gonna affect iDream society, but at that local level, that's gonna really make it huge. And man, I want to hear more about that.
Yeah, it's been, I think it comes from, iDream was probably, I don't want to say an introductory, but like maybe from community building, right? Like, how do we build it? So it was like iDream Society, cool. But now, like, locally, it's like, oh, they got like a local access public television station. Like, KGM TV is here, like, so the community can connect here. Like, what if there are shows or ways that we can get information like the city council meeting into a 30-minute digestible, show. So it was like, all right, build a city council recap with the community, school board recap with the community where you're hearing, because it's crazy, bro. You know how it is. Like, we're on one side of town, but you don't know what the other side of town or that side of town or that side of town, how certain things are affecting them. But when you sit at a table and you're talking through things and thoughts and issues or ideas, that's it. Like, I'm like, because now I'm listening to you like, wait, that impacted you that way? And I didn't see that at all, right? And I think that's the power of like, and it's the same city, I'm in the same city, same neighborhood, seeing things completely different. Cool, let's talk that through. And I think locally, if you could start doing that, man, that's powerful. Like, it can't happen at a national level. That's just reality. I'd love to be proven wrong on that, by the way, but everything runs so differently. I don't think you can have certain conversations all the way across. But locally, if you could do stuff like that, like, it's been fun, man. Like, building with the local TV station and helping develop community like that. Plus, I don't know how many places have a local public access TV station. So I think that's important too. Like, if you have it and it's a nonprofit org, it's like, yo, like, people in the community that care, fund things like that. Give your bread to those type of spaces because those are real community spots. Now having that, doing an event, the house party at the park, which is just alumni getting together to hang, kick it. We're all grown up now. Everybody's lived, everybody's doing stuff. We're not all in third period together anymore, right? We've got families of our own. But what if I'm doing something that could help you? Or what if you're doing something that we can connect on and start a business together? Or, you know what I mean? Like, I'm really just getting bigger on just community, like, connect, talk. Like, we gotta look at each other and talk about what's been up, how you doing? You know what I mean? Like, there's so much that we might just be overlooking because it's just no time spent.
The biggest takeaway I'm taking from this is just getting those people that you're already close with, right? And actually doing something. Because I mean, what is it? The power of the people is really what's gonna move things.
100%. 100%. Like I've just been really spending time too, just learning what people who have done great things by bringing people together or organizing, like whether it's Bob Marley, that movie came out, which was like, for me, just really inspiring on a lot of levels, but community and caring for people and community, right? Was something in there. And like even with Fred Hampton and the work he was doing with the party and Pac and Nip and different ways that they built community, and Malcolm and Martin, just leaders have been like mad inspiring to me right now. Like I've been really trying to study it because it's like nothing I do is gonna be like that. And I don't think it should be, because it's like study that so you can understand how it looks for you in your community, in your neighborhood, in your job, in your whatever, right? Like how do those, we gotta study more. You know what I mean? Like, and study the stuff you like studying. Like, because I think that's what stopped me from learning. Because learning always felt like this, like, chore of
Yeah.
like, I ain't trying to read this book about who is this? They did, and I don't even care. Like, study the people you care about. Or you're like, ooh, they did what? I'm in it, right? And like the twofold part that I've really enjoyed is like study who you find fascinating. But then if you can find out who they study, there's your second dive. That's always a trip, man. Like that, from my experience of that, has been like, oh wow, you looked up so and so was doing this. You ended up going, and they're never really the same in how it did it. But you can see how this started moving because it saw so and so do something completely different, but it inspired them to do that, right? And it's like, for me, it's been like studying these different people who have moved people or done great things collectively. I'm like, oh yeah, oh, this is how it would look like for me to do it. And it just gets clearer, man.
So I'm gonna switch things up a little bit from where we were at. All this that you're doing, I mean, the community, your work, how do you deal with all of it all in one time?
I wake up mad early. I'm up early. That's it. I genuinely, bro, like right now, I can't tell you like how I find time to do it. I wish I could. I wish I could explain it. But also too, I'm gonna be real, like it's probably a lot to do with the friends that I'm around too. You know what I mean? And the people that when I have time in between on a car ride to call, I call, and sometimes I can't catch them because they're busy as well doing their thing. But like I'm inspired by like my friends, like I told you about Jay and Monique with the I Dream. Like, yo, these two inspire me daily. Like their grind independently as creators, yo, I'm like, they don't even know like what that does for me. But also too, like other friends that I have, that it's just seeing them go is like, come on, Chris. Like then I start thinking about friends of mine that I don't have anymore. And I'm like, nah, man, I gotta go. I gotta get everything off right now. So what does that mean? My health gotta be good. I gotta be healthy or I can't get anything done. So it was like, all right, I gotta figure out how I'm taking care of myself. And then shout out to my buddy Jay, who I've known since he was a kid at the teen center when I was working there. He's a tattoo artist now doing amazing work. But he shared with me a hood story about a friend of his who was like, got the key secret to everything in life. Wake up earlier. How does that work? What you mean wake up earlier? If I got a problem with my girl, wake up earlier? Yeah, wake up earlier. Wake up earlier, read a book on relationship. See how you can better your relationship. What if I don't have time like to work out? Wake up earlier.
Yeah.
Go work out. Wake up earlier. And I was like, and then I started to see this result. Like getting up at 4:30, I'm up before the sun. That kind of feels amazing. I'll say this. It never feels great right when you get out of bed. So that is just it. Right. Until you hit some water on your face. But in the first 2 minutes of you sitting up and getting out of bed, you're up. Then it becomes, what am I trying to do? And I think it probably took me that long to get to a spot where I clearly know what I'm trying to do. Like I know I've got an incredible career, which requires time. So I need to give that its time. The work we're doing with I Dream Society needs its time. How much time is that? This many hours. Okay, cool. The work in the community requires time. How many hours? This much time. All right, cool. Got to have time with the family. Got to get the kid. You know what I mean? And that. So where does that happen? That all happens. Okay, cool. But to me, it's like I'm gonna do all of it, bro. Like because it's interesting. Like this conversation made me think of it, man. Like it's kind of the same thing that I was thinking at PCC. Like I can't not do.
Right.
I have to see all this through. If all of it fails, that's cool. It would suck,
Right.
but it'll be all right inside all the way because I'll be like, I tried. I just want to know that I tried everything I want to try. And those are the things that are happening, but there's other things that are happening off of that, right? Like behind the scenes on a bigger vision picture for myself. So
Thinking about that just made me think of something. I think my boy Jay sent me something, and this was maybe a while back. You know who Ed Milet is?
yes.
So I might butcher it, but I remember him saying that he's gonna outwork everybody because he gets about 4 days in one day.
I saw that. I love that conversation he had with, is that with Jay Shetty? I saw that conversation and it's crazy because when I saw that conversation, I understood it better than I probably would have ever understood in my life. I feel the same way. I have my time of the day when I'm doing my work stuff. I have my time of the day when I'm doing the I Dream stuff, community stuff, family stuff. And it's like, because you're up earlier, you have all of that. Then I still got time to get good rest at night. I'm gassed.
We go straight to bed, right back up.
By 9:30, 10 o'clock, my brain is like, I ain't, hold up. It's a wrap.
And I think that's the biggest struggle for a lot of people, right? That they don't know how to manage their time. And I think you kind of, I'm not gonna say it's perfect, obviously, but I think you've kind of narrowed it down to what works for you.
That's it. That's it. You got to know what works for you. And I think too, like what I've seen is if you don't commit to your time, what I mean by that is like when I'm with my gig professionally, that's all I'm thinking about. That's it. I'm not thinking about what we got to do with the family on the weekend. I'm not thinking about what needs to happen. And you know what I mean? Like, who do I need to call in town? We got something going on. Thinking about none of that. I'm only here at work. When I'm done there, what am I doing next? And don't get me wrong, man, I've gotten better now. What's helped me is punching in time for like in between stuff to just breathe and have nothing going on for a second.
Right.
Like me give myself 2 to 5 minutes of just concentrated nothingness. 2 minutes, real quick, no phone. I don't want to read nothing. I don't want to see nothing. I'm gonna look at a tree. You know what I mean?
Right,
Wherever
right,
I'm gonna be at, I'm gonna just be in it. I'm gonna look around, see what they doing down on the street over there. I'm chilling for a full 2, 3 minutes of just like chilling, taking deep breaths and going. Then I'm gonna get back up and I'm gonna go do something else. And now for whatever reason, bro, like that breathing time gives me like the ability to like really deconnect from the work that I was doing and now be like, all right, cool. What we thinking on? What we doing now? Cool. And I got a lot of like back and forth with my own self in my head. That happens a lot, bro, where I'll be having to curse myself out constantly. Like, because there's the one part of me that be like, man, man, go play some 2K or something, man. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and it's like, yeah, dog, you could do that, but you said you was trying to do boom, 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 boom.
right. On a personal level, what's next for Chris Loos?
Man, what's next? Everything that's going right now, I think everything that's happening right now is like building to something. It's kind of interesting because like there's no like, I don't know, man. It's a lot. I'll say that. What's next? It's a lot. I don't know all the way what that even looks like yet. It was interesting. Just I never thought I would be going to Stanford to MC an event on civic imagination, right? Like, and what that looks like. With young, brilliant minds, we're going to get to talk about what civic engagement looks like in a reimagined way and have conversations like that. And how am I going to Stanford? Like, it's just by being involved in community and working with people. And one of the students that I was mentoring is now at Stanford and had a conversation with a professor and you know what I mean? Which led to a conversation. And what's next? I don't know, but I'm going to keep on being very uncomfortable and going and sitting in rooms where I've never sat in before and enjoy meeting people that I don't know or have no idea what they do. I'm going to just continue to challenge myself to do that because I've seen things happen by doing it now. And I think that was the shy kid in me was like,
Right.
it's easier here. It's comfortable. There's something so powerful when you can get uncomfortable. It's terrifying. It's terrifying. You start doubting everything in yourself. But when you start realizing everybody's guessing, everyone's just guessing. They're doing their best, but it's an educated guess, right? Day traders, you watching waves go up and down, but it's an educated guess, right? When you're building a business, you're putting in together your operational cost and you're thinking and you're looking at your lease and you're figuring out we got this much coming in and this much coming out and this month we should be making about this and by that month So you're kind of like, but you're guessing. You're getting all the information you can, but it's a guess. Once I realized like everyone's guessing, all right, let me do the best homework I can. And that seems right. Make the jump. It's uncomfortable, but once you're all right with like not having something work, it's exciting, man.
Well, I think I could have read a lot of self-help books, but nothing really topped with this conversation that I had with you. I mean, I think the most interpersonal thing leads to more, right? And I kind of was pushed into this,
Yeah.
but in the back of my mind, I really wanted to do it, right?
Yeah.
And
And so this is business, right? So this is like setting business. For you, what is that? What's that looking like?
I want to be able to touch bases with people in business. And at the same time, while I'm obviously trying to get their story, I'm learning. I'm trying to learn from the minds that have already been there so I can get there. I'm not the huge reader, but like I said, right now I feel like I got 3, 4 lifetimes of knowledge that I would have got from doing anything else. And I want to take it further and further and get the information that I can from anybody that's willing to share it. And I believe there's a lot of people that are out there that do want to help people, and not just me, but create something out of nothing. And sharing that story with anybody else is that impact. You said just one head that you never know that you might change.
I think business too, right? And seeing like we've worked at the station together. So it's like in the business of a brand and what a brand looks like. How does that all the way become a business, right? Like you saw, I think that was what, Wild 96, Hip Hop Emas, right? So that was all a business play, right? That was just like a business play. What you and I didn't know at that time was we're just like real minuscule pawns.
Oh yeah.
In a bigger play that's happening, right? So there's the fights happening of why is this hip hop Emas and we should be hip hop, we've been hip hop, now we're gonna lose this audience, boom, 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 which were all valid arguments,
Right.
but we're not aware of conversations happening at other levels, right? So the other levels conversation was consultant in the owner's ear of, look, I'm gonna bring in my guy who's gonna make this attractive to a Latin audience. He's going to do that. That way, you're going to be able to sell it for more. So here's the owner with a lack of vision, but trying to get bread because he's an older head and he's in the business for the business, which I understand. You don't see a lot of businesses that are in it for a cause or a mission as much as you do
For the capital gain.
boom. And I understand that. I think that's wise, but I love businesses that can do both, where your mission is locked in and it's lucrative in that same process. That's where like people like Ed Milet are like, I love seeing that, man. Andy Frisella, there's a lot of like really dope business owners that are like in it with a good mission and killing it lucratively too. It's just funny now, like just that was one I thought of for us, because we were in that building having no idea at that time what the whole business play was. Our job was just to do X or Y. Little did we know all of this is happening in the background. You know what I mean? Now later it's like, that's what was happening. Made no sense at the time.
And the thing is that everything that trickled from the top really went all the way down to everybody, and all the chaos that we actually saw that really happened, right?
And that's where too, like you see poor leadership. There was a lot of like in that whole situation, it was just bad leadership. You could have communicated things better. In the moment, it's always hard, but I think when you have time to reflect and you can see, it's easier to clearly see where the business didn't go right. Right. It was like, somebody should have communicated a little bit better. It could have diffused certain things. It could have made it better. But I think like great businesses happen with great leaders. That's what I've clearly seen.
Oh, 100%. And I guess I'm thinking about the story, or even all the little things that happened while I was there. I think I was 19, and seeing everything from like, damn, I'm only 19 and all this is happening. And it kind of opened my eyes to a lot of real world stuff.
Yeah.
And I won't mention his name, but obviously he got let go because he was doing some stuff that he shouldn't have been doing. And to me, I was like, man, this is how, like, for me, it was a big company, huge company, 19 years old. Yeah. And, marketing street team. And I'm seeing a director wilding out doing this. And I think at one of the clubs that we were at, seeing it with my own eyes. And I'm like, can I tell Loos? Should I tell him? Do I not? And I just, from that, it's like learning business, like not the actual business, but the stuff behind the scenes that nobody sees.
And what you saw though, right, was really the circus of it.
Right.
Not the business.
Right.
You saw the ego, the bravado, the all of that happening along with added fuel of different elements to that fire.
Right.
You know what I mean? So you've got substances in play, you've got ego in play, you saw the circus. You didn't get to see the business because of it. But
Man, well, this really has been a lot to take in, at least for me, and I appreciate your time.